Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And we are here in East Commons right now. We're going to actually explore this zone today. For those of you who are not familiar with this area, this is usually where people come to sell. But it's in a specific part of the zone, which I'll get to. But right now, we're actually at the entrance to the Neck Forest. For those of you who may be starting at Dark Elf and you kind of want to know the area that you'll be starting in, and you're progressing with us to find out where you might want to level up, what camps and things of that sort. This is going to be a good guide for you. I'm going to show you every part of the zone that I can get to. I'm pretty low level. I'm only level 7. But I can still show you most of the zone. And just be careful where I run. Now, there is a path. You'll see it right here when you first come out. And if you follow the path, you won't have a problem if you're a good character, a good race. There are guards roaming around here as you get closer to Freeport, so you want to be very careful about that. Evil characters are not really welcomed. I'm not sure if they'll attack you. They used to, but they may have changed that. We'll have to see if we run across one and con it. You'll see inns up there in the distance. Most of those innkeepers will not sell to you when you first come here. Now, if you kill the orcs, you do get a faction hit. Now, I'm not sure if that faction hit will eventually allow you to be able to buy and sell from those vendors. Or even maybe some other Dark Elves can do it. I'm playing a Necro, and generally they are hated by pretty much everybody, including their own people. So that could be part of the reason why they won't sell to me. So you'll just have to check, but at least they're not kill on sight. You can walk into those inns and check the people out. Again, you want to be careful around guards. You'll see there's creatures out here, and most of them are not ready to attack. That one's a white rattlesnake at level 7, so you got some even creatures out here. There's further into the zone, there's yellow and red. Now, if you go this way, you're going to go to Freeport. You'll also see a couple of little buildings over here, and I'll check out the buildings as well. But I wanted to show you guys how to get to Freeport. I remember this area so much from when I was still going to high school. This is when I first started playing the game. And if you just keep running straight, you'll zone into Freeport, but we're not going to do that. There's a couple of little things out you check out, little camps and stuff of that sort, but there's not really anything that you need to be worried about out here. Now we'll check out these inns to see who's inside and what's going on there. A lot of these places are empty, so don't expect to always find an NPC in there that you can sell to. But if you do have the faction, I definitely suggest doing it because you'll pick up a lot of junk in this zone. And as you can see right here, it says Dark Elves, your own merchants, whatever. I won't sell you anything to use. So, again, it says Dark Elf and not Necro. But you'll just have to find out for yourself whether you can sell here or not. Also, if you're looking for a cheap way or an easy way to make some money to buy your... Oh, crap. Hey guys, so we're back now. And you may be wondering, how do I get close enough to my corpse to loot it if I got attacked in the first place? Well, if you make a macro bar or macro button and you do /corpse, C-O-R-P-S-E, and then click on your corpse right there in the distance, you can actually drag it to you. Now you have to be close enough to be able to see the name over the corpse itself to be able to drag it to you. There's a skeleton over there, so I'm just going to loot it over here. But you can drag it to a pretty safe distance wherever you want. Drag it to a cleric. Most of the time, if you die and you don't have a cleric to res you, leave one item on the corpse. Drag the corpse to the entrance of the zone, and then you can sit there at the entrance of the zone and hope a cleric comes in. If he does, they all have to pass through that area, so that's the most convenient place to do it. I'm not really worried about getting a res at this level. You don't really lose too much. It's only at later levels that you start to lose a lot. And even then it's not a lot. I think it's like 3 to 6% or something like that you lose. It's a lot because at that level it takes a long time to get 3 to 6%. So you can keep following the road. In fact, let me make a pet real quick, just in case. You can keep following the road, or you can go across the wall right here, which will take you to the tunnel. In fact, that's what we're going to go ahead and do. just because I know that's the safest route for me at this time. There's not a lot of roamers, and there's no guards to mention that I remember ever being on this area. You can see it's actually a pretty big zone. The scenery changes from a desert to the grasslands, back to another desert when you go to Freeport, which is a dock. So you kind of got like all the little climate areas over here. You can see that's the tunnel. And this is where everybody will come to sell. It may get pretty choppy here in a second. I don't know. I've never been here, recently, so we'll see exactly how well this works out. But if you do ever have a problem with choppiness in this area because there's just so many people, all you need to do is stare at the ground. And you can see it's getting a little choppy there. Stare at the ground or the wall. But every single person here is either selling, buying, asking for a buff, looking for a teleport. Anything you need will be here. Some of these people may have fallen asleep at the keyboard and stuff, but when you are asking people to come to you, a lot of people will say the second torch on the wall, first torch on the right, and as you can see, there's one right there. There's a second one down here. And every single person in here, I see somebody right there, there's dueling. Or they ran in here for help, I don't know. Huh, maybe somebody trained them. They're red to me, so I can't do anything about that. But if you keep going through here, you'll actually get to another zone. I believe it's called the Oasis, but don't hold me to that just yet. It's been a long time since I've come over here. But you can come all the way down here, and in the old days, a lot of people would congregate here in this room. And I remember sitting over here underneath this lamp, or this little tower thing around the corner, for a long, long time selling stuff. But this place used to be packed. I guess everybody's congregating at the entrance now because it's just shorter. But this is in between, basically, the two zones, this little tiny area in the tunnel, which is why people usually, like to be over here as well. And you can come over here and sell and buy some stuff if you need anything. So it's also a good place to stop for the night. If you bind yourself over here, you can sell your stuff, but also clear out all your inventory from whatever zone you were in. You don't get rid of your cash. You don't always have to go to the bank to get rid of your copper. All you have to do is go into an NPC and buy something. Buy the lowest thing. Buy a stack of food, and it will take your copper first. You can even buy an item you don't need and then sell it back at a somewhat loss, but that will still get rid of all your copper and all your silver. So it's a little method so that you don't have to run all the way back to a town, because sometimes they're pretty far away. So let's go back out into East Commons. I'll show you how to get to some of the orc camps, which is where you're probably going to be spending a lot of your time hunting in this zone at this level. You can always hunt the roamers as well. There's plenty of them, and they can be a nuisance at the camps too, so you want to keep that in mind about where you pull to and things of that sort, and I'll show you those as well. But there's plenty of things to kill in this zone if you just want to roam around and fight by yourself. That's an option at this low level, especially as a Necro. That's an option throughout the entire game. But as you get higher and higher levels, most of the classes will lose that ability to solo, and the ones that can solo don't really solo that well. Like a cleric, he could solo, but it would just take so long to do anything, because it would use like all his power, and he'd have to wait and met all the way back up for each and every fight. But bards can solo really well, necros can solo really well, druids can solo really well. So it was kind of hard to find those guys in groups sometimes, because they could go off on their own. Once you find a good spot, which can take a while, but once you find a good spot, you don't really want to give it up unless you know, the group is going to be equally as good. Because sometimes you get in some of these groups and all you guys do is die. It's a pickup group, which is what they call a pug for short. And sometimes the people who were in your group were not very good. So sometimes if you could find experience somewhere else at a steady rate, let's see, who is this? Okay, it's not a guard. And I'm not going to go inside those buildings again and risk dying. Over to the left-hand side is the little desert area. I do believe Befallen is over here as well, in a little cave or a tunnel of some sort. It's been a long, long time since I've been there. Let's see. That's the big tunnel down there, yeah. And you'll see there are things out here to fight that are completely different from over there. You got these ass corpses, somebody's killing those, and a puma. Whereas just, 5 feet over onto the grassland, you'll find, tigers and, basically kind of the same creature, but a completely different name, and they have different fighting styles. And some of the ones out here, like the snakes, I remember, they had some vicious venom. Whereas you could fight the snakes on the grass side, and yeah, they'd poison you, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was over here. So, and there's nothing. Where is it? Maybe it's further down. Well, it looks like maybe he's the one who's killing everything. He just died. So like I said, this zone is very, very big. And I may actually zone here in a minute to the next one. It's kind of hard to know where the zone line is unless you've played it. And you just kind of learn as you go, where the zone line is going to creep up on you. That can also make running away from an enemy very difficult if you're not quite sure how far until you get to the next area. Because a lot of the time you may not want to zone in right away to another zone because you're low on health, and you never know what you're going to find on the other end. You could zone in to the next zone we're about to hit here in a minute, and on the other side be 5 bears just sitting there waiting for you because somebody at that exact moment zoned from that zone with the train. So you just never know. So you don't want to blindly go into another zone with almost no health, because it's going to take your computer a second or two, or at least it did back in the day, a lot longer for your character to show. And actually we're zoning right now, to show up on your screen. Like he would zone in, it would take your computer a couple more seconds after that to realize it and give you control over that character. So in the meantime, he's over there getting beaten before you can even do anything. So sometimes you would zone in and your guy would literally be dead already, which sucks. And you can see we zoned over into the West Commons. And that was the zone line right there. No warning, no nothing, no, dramatic kill or anything like that. It's just, if they had the computing power back in the day, I bet more than anything they would have preferred to have this just one long zone. Because some of the some of the zones later on in the game were just huge. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is like Everquest 2. If you take the zones that are in that game, and take an entire continent, sometimes that entire continent of 50 zones was the size of just one zone that these guys come up with. So I mean, it's crazy some of the sizes that that they put into the game. And that also creates more lag because you have more people interacting with each other. But I think that's one of the great things about this game. And I'm gonna have to make another fit. Is one of the great things about this game is you're all part of the same zone. I mean, when something happens, where's my fit? I got interrupted. Hope I don't lose bone chips when that happens, because I'm actually kind of low on bone chips. There we go. But when something happened in a zone and everybody in that zone, it happened to them as well. So it wasn't like in some of the other games where you have your own instant or so many people and it creates another instant. When something happens there, it happens on a very small scale. When something happens here, it happens to everybody who's on, basically. So it's kind of cool. It really brings people together. Now you can come over here into this area. There's actually a chick in here that I'm hoping, or a girl I should say, not a chick, sorry about that, in here that I wish I could buy from, because she actually has some some food items that you can get, and then go back to the town. And it will only cost you about 5 platinum to get everything you need, and you can level up your baking and stuff just incredibly high with doing that little trick. And unfortunately, I'm unable to do it. Now there is an orc camp over here. This one is a little bit higher level. Over here too often. I don't know why I'm lagging out right there. When you first get here, this will not be the first one you check out, but they are here, and you can see they're all red. Let's run over here where it's a little bit safer. And again, if you're low level or you're evil, you may want to hug the wall so that you don't run into issues like this where you may get jumped. And these guys, these giant scarabs, are not ready to attack. They are pretty high level. They were red when I first got here. Now they're yellow at level 7. So let's keep going over here. And that's a person, not an NPC. NPCs will run around from time to time, patrol and things of that sort, but they will never loot a corpse. So if you're unsure whether that's a person or NPC, that's a good way to tell, or one of the ways to tell. I wouldn't say it's a good way. It's not going to come in handy too often, but now this is the camp that you will most likely spend most of your time at when you first get here, if you can get a group. Earliest I would say to come here is, I don't know, it depends on your group. You can come here as early as 4 if you had a group within your level range, and you could possibly do it at that level, but chances are you want to wait till you're level 5 or level 6. Let's see, is he killing here? Gonna have to fight this. Yep. As you can see, roamers, they're everywhere, and this one spot, which is where they prefer to pull, is actually, in my opinion, one of the worst, because it seems like every roamer intersects at this little spot right here, which is great if you want experience and your group can handle it. But I would prefer to pull up on that wall right there, where it's a little safer and you can actually see somebody's up there. Go ahead and loot up. As you can see already, another wolf. And this can get a lot more difficult. I'm actually getting wolves rather than those lionesses or prowesses or whatever they're called. Those are a lot higher level and a lot more difficult to kill. And I may be level 7, but my pet is still, I think, around level 4. He's a level 4 spell pet, so that could be anywhere between, I think, level 3 to 4 pet. And I think if I con him, he'll be like green to me. So even though I can do a lot of damage, my pet still can't take a lot of damage. So I can't do these guys on my own, unfortunately. Now, if you keep following the wall, this will take us back to where we started this video, back to the Neck Forest entrance in East Commons. Now, there are a few other things in this zone that you should be aware of. A few other buildings that sell some good stuff. I'm not able to go into those buildings on this guy, unfortunately. So if you are in the zone, my suggestion would be to check out the buildings. If you are a good character, a good race, you can do that openly without worrying about it. If you're not, then like you saw in my video, you're going to have to stay away from those to a certain extent. But you're still able to run by them. You don't have to be too careful. Just don't get, within, I would say, 10 feet of the building. And that should be fine for the aggro radius of any of the NPCs that may be running around. Now, as I did mention before, there are guards that you need to be aware of that do roam around. We didn't see any on this video, so there's not very many, obviously, but they are there, so just be aware of it. Again, guys, I want to thank you for watching my videos. If you like this, please hit the like button, subscribe, or leave a comment below if you have a certain zone or a certain area that you would like to know more about or see, or just be able to relive it, I'll be happy to do that. Again, guys, as always, I want to thank you guys for watching.